Hi, so for topic B, I believe that there is not enough information to tell whether it is a binding price ceiling or a binding price floor. And I can argue for both of why sellers and buyers would be unhappy in both situations. So let's say that the equilibrium cost of selling a product in this market, so that means that the price that the sellers are happy selling at and the buyers are happy buying at is like $1 a pound for, let's say, rice in this situation. If you set the price of rice by the government at the minimum or binding price floor at $3 a pound instead of $1 a pound, it becomes more expensive. Now, you might think that the seller's happy because of this, because they're making more money, but they're not, because as the price increased, demand went down. And so they aren't able to sell the product at this price. So they're actually unhappy because instead of selling it at $3 a pound, they might have wanted to sell it at $2 a pound, but they're not allowed to because the government has set a binding price at $3 minimum. So that means that sellers are not selling product and buyers are not buying product because it's too expensive. Now, if you have the opposite and you have a binding price ceiling that is below equilibrium cost, meaning that if it's $1 a pound, as we had said, for our equilibrium, and now you're having to sell at a maximum of 50 cents per pound as a seller, you're unhappy because you're selling for far cheaper than the market value cost. So now for 50 cents a pound, you're selling rice instead of selling it at $1 a pound. Now you're unhappy because you're not making as much money as a seller. Now, why is the buyer unhappy if it's cheaper? The buyer is unhappy if it's cheaper because the demand has gone up, but the supply has gone down because sellers are not selling at this cost. So now sellers are unhappy because they're not able to sell product as this cost because they're not putting as much product out there, and buyers don't have enough product to buy at this cost because sellers aren't selling. And so even if you had the money to buy for, let's say, $3 a pound, you're not allowed to because the government has set the top of the ceiling at 50 cents a pound. So you're competing with so many other people to buy that same product, and there's a shortage created in this instance. So they're both unhappy in both situations. Now, in my example that I'll give you is an example of a binding price ceiling. So let's say that if you look at the New York housing market, that rent at equilibrium would have been maybe $2,000 a month, or let's say that the equilibrium cost that you would buy in New York is $2,000 a month. Now, the thing is, some people would be willing to buy for, let's say, $6,000 a month, actually, because people going there might be rich, they might have a lot of money, and also like people going there would be a hot commodity to buy New York because it's like kind of like a status symbol. So some people might be really willing to spend a lot. Now, the government, in order to protect the buyer, has set a price ceiling at a maximum of, let's say, $4,000. So instead of buying for $6,000, now you can only buy at a maximum of $4,000, and the seller cannot sell for more than that in order to protect the buyer. So the price has, I guess, decreased from what the market value cost would have been, and so then the supply or the quantity sold would increase because there's more people willing to buy at a lower cost. Thank you.